Hi. Today, December 29th, there are 4 abortion death anniversaries that I know about. 1 illegal and 3 of the safe and legal variety. My feeling is that all 4 of these women are equally dead. All 4 of these deaths and the deaths of their babies are equally tragic. And on December 29th of 1907, a 19-year-old named Marcy died at St. Elizabeth's Hospital in Chicago from complications of a criminal abortion. And a midwife named Mary Bing was arrested, tried, and sent to Joliet. So it's nice to know that she was actually locked up for doing this. And I haven't seen any evidence that she got out and resumed her abortion practice. Then the next death, we jump ahead to 1971. And because of the sources for this particular death, which are medical journal articles, they of course don't share the name of the woman. Life Dynamics dubbed her Beth. So to be consistent, I'm also calling her Beth. Now, this is 1971, which is before Roe versus Wade, but in 1970, New York just pretty much declared open season on fetuses up to 24 weeks. You could do the abortion pretty much any way you pleased, and it was resulting kind of a bloodbath for women. Doctors were doing really terrible, irresponsible things. Now, I don't know that they were being... The technique they were using was saline abortion, which is when the big needle, the amniocentesis needle, just like when they do prenatal testing, is used to pull out as much amniotic fluid as possible, and then a strong, sterile salt solution is injected into the uterus. And, of course, that kills the baby. The baby swallows it, the baby inhales it, it gets in the baby's eyes. And these babies, the nurses that worked abortion wards called them candy apple babies because they were delivered with such scalded red skin. This abortion technique was known to be dangerous. The Soviet Union, Japan, and one other country, it escapes me, had already banned its use before New York legalized abortion. And 2 Japanese physicians, Takashi Wakatsuma and Yukio Manabe, really tried to get Western abortionists to drop this method. But it's kind of easy for the doctor because you just pull out the amniotic fluid, you stick in the saline, and you go home. Or you send her home. So this was really an ugly situation. Now, I don't know whether that's what they were doing with Beth or not. Because were they going to send her home? I don't know. They accidentally injected the saline directly into her bloodstream, which of course gave her seizures. She went to a coma, and she was pronounced dead on December 29th. The next abortion death is 1977. A 36-year-old named Mary Ann went in for a combination abortion tubal ligation that was to be done under general anesthesia on December 28th. And something went wrong. She suffered several cardiac arrests, was put in the intensive care unit, and she died the next day, December 29th. Then we jump ahead 10 years to 1987. A 31-year-old named Sheila went for a safe legal abortion at Concerned Women's Center in Houston. Sheila was 31. She was 17 weeks pregnant. This is December 29th, 1987. And the abortionist was Dr. Richard Cunningham. And about 4 minutes into the procedure, Sheila went into cardiorespiratory arrest and was pronounced dead later that day. And it appears that she suffered an amniotic fluid embolism, which is when the amniotic fluid gets into the woman's bloodstream. So I don't know the outcome of the case. Her husband sued the clinic and the doctor. And the most recent one is December 29th, 2003. And that's a 22-year-old named Vivian, who, like Holly Patterson, got abortion drugs at a Planned Parenthood. Vivian had been given the drugs on December 23rd at the Costa Mesa Planned Parenthood, and then she died of sepsis. And these deaths, it's kind of hard to make a judgment call of how much blame to put on Planned Parenthood. It was well known already at that point that massive hemorrhage was a risk. Can't remember her name. There was a rather high-profile female abortion doctor who, before chemical abortions became common in the U.S., was doing clinical trials, and she was talking at a National Abortion Federation conference about how hard it was for her staff to get used to these chemical abortion patients coming in for follow-up visits and standing at the front desk with the blood just running down their legs, overflowing their shoes and pooling on the floor around their feet. So, that's not an unheard of amount of bleeding. So, I already got some issues with Planned Parenthood making so free with these chemical abortions. But she actually died of sepsis. And this is something, the first drug kills the baby, and then another drug is given to cause the dead baby to be expelled. And typically, you place that medicine between your cheek and gum and let it dissolve in your mouth. This, though, can cause some nausea and sometimes vomiting. And to prevent that, Planned Parenthood had a protocol where they'd give it as a vaginal suppository. But for some reason, this was causing rapid onset fatal infections in otherwise healthy young women. I don't know if Planned Parenthood stopped using the vaginal medicine and went to putting it inside the cheek or not. And there were some other infections in the Los Angeles area. Chanel and Oriane. Chanel also got her drugs at a Planned Parenthood. So that's 3 RU486 deaths in the Los Angeles area. They got their drugs at Planned Parenthood. And there were other National Abortion Federation members involved. So those are the deaths we have today.